Hi, this is Anita from the Dusty Roads podcast. In this podcast and in our blog, A Bus on a Dusty Road, we are all about living our lives as a global citizen. I've recently written a blog entitled How to Make Friends While Traveling or Living Abroad. We'll put a link in the description below in case you'd like to read it. I've lived and worked in overseas my entire adult life since I've graduated from college. So I think I have a lot of experience in being able to talk about how to make friends while traveling or living abroad. I can also say, too, it can sometimes be difficult to be able to make friends or to get to know people. And one of the hard things about living overseas is that a lot of people move and change, especially if you're in an area where there's an embassy community. Every 3 years, the embassy people will move. So maybe you meet someone, you become a great friend of theirs, and within 3 years or a couple of years, they're gone and they're on to the next posting. So there can be a lot of change for things overseas. Even teachers, people that are here teaching, can move and constantly be you can be constantly be looking to find new friends. So if this is something which is really hard for you, if you are somebody who just wants to, you've kept the same friends, you've had the same friends your entire life, you've never had any other friends except for those you went to high school with, or those you knew since you were in elementary school, this might be hard for you. But let me talk about some ways that you can find some friends, or ways that I have. One of the most ways is to attend a local church or religious service. A lot of my friends I found through attending church here overseas. And that's, given me friends in all different walks of life that I normally would never cross paths with if I didn't attend church. People that are in the embassy, I would never have been gotten to know unless I actually, attended a church. Just like church services, if church is not your thing, and that's fine because it's not for everybody, you can join a club, a social group, or, some type of hobby circles. You can, a lot of times there's women's clubs or other things going on overseas here, or there's AmChams or other type of clubs that you can join where people have the same type of hobby that you have. Maybe it's a sports club, which is the next one. Get connected through fitness. Join a local gym or fitness class. A lot of times you can find some fitness groups here, people that are maybe riding bikes together, people who are, exercising together, people who are swimming together. You can get to know people that way. Join an expat or national clubs. If you like to play things like football, maybe you can find a football group or a pickleball group, or, you could join some type of clubs that are around, which have to do with fitness or just any type of clubs. There's some, English clubs, some language clubs. There's many things like that. Volunteer for a local charity or an NGO. This can be a great way to be able to meet people. If that's some things that you join, you can find a local charity or an NGO that you can volunteer for, spend some time there with them. Explore the meetup and event platforms. A lot of times there's some, meetup things that go on, depends upon the country, whether or not they have it. There could be language exchanges, cookie nights, board games. There could be quiz nights at a bar, movie clubs, day trips, and hikes that you could join. Stay in hostels or join a co-living space. If that's kind of your thing, you want to be able to, get to know other people. You might, get yourselves in an area with some roommates, or you might join a hostel, or, if co-living's not your thing, if you're able to work in a space with other people, you don't have to go into an office, you could join maybe a co-working space. Take a language class. There's usually always language classes overseas that you can take. A lot of foreigners are in those language classes. You can get to know other people. Use social media forums. You can do searches for expats in the city, digital nomads, travel buddies. You can look for all of those things there for the city that you're at. You can do some searches there. There's a lot of times these cities will have Facebook groups and other things where you can post things on. Sign up for a class or a workshop. Maybe you want to take a cooking class in Italy or in Vietnam. Vietnam has lots of great cooking classes. Surf lessons in Bali, tango lessons in Argentina. Sign up for some type of class. Say yes even when it feels awkward. Now, this is a hard one. Making friends means stepping out of your comfort zone. Accepting invitations, even if they're outside your usual interests. Go to barbecues, rooftop parties, the cultural festival. Many friendships start because someone took a chance, on an invitation. You never know who you'll meet. Start something yourself. If there's not something there, try to start something yourself and get like-minded people to join together. Be a regular somewhere. Be a regular at a coffee shop or a neighborhood bar where staff and patrons and others can get to know you. Talk to strangers. Yes, really. I talk to strangers all the time. You can ask people, is this your first time here? Know any good local spots? What brings you to the city? Get to know people. Just reach out and get to know other people. Most people you'll find, especially if they're sitting alone, if you're in a restaurant alone and someone else is alone, reach over and talk to them. Find out more about them and their life. Find out who they are. Who knows, you might just find yourself a new friend. Fast travel is fun, but slow travel builds friendships. When you spend more time in one place, you'll naturally start seeing the same faces and the routines. Whether in your small town or a big city, staying in one area longer gives you the time to deepen connections instead of just making acquaintances. One of the most important things in all of these are all great things, but if you're a closed off person and if you're somebody who, really wants to stick to yourself, and that's fine. Some people, they like that. They want to stick to themselves. They don't have to make friends. Then that's okay. Then understand that you are that way. But making friends abroad, isn't always instant. So you have to have an openness for it. It gets easier the more practice, being open, curious, and intentional. It does become easier when you do that. Not every conversation will turn into a lifelong bond, and that's okay. You're planting seeds. Some will grow quickly, others over time. Some may not even grow at all. You may get to know someone not grow at all. Remember, you're not alone in feeling alone. Many other travelers and expats are looking for a connection too. Be proactive. One thing I didn't put down on here about living overseas, I have met a lot of people walking my dog. So if you're an animal person and if you have a dog, you might want to consider getting yourself a dog and going out and walking your dog in areas where other people are walking their dogs. And I've met some great sort of fun friends here where, we're not like social friends, but when we see each other, we talk. In fact, a lot of times I know their dogs' names and we say hello on the street and we get to know each other because we have this common interest of a dog that we're both walking. And so if you're living in another part of the world and you're feeling kind of a little bit lonely, if you like animals, consider getting yourself a dog and then taking that dog out to dog parks or other places and getting to know other people that are like-minded like you who have other, dogs and animals. You might be surprised what kind of friendships you meet along the way. I'm going to put into the description our blog we've written on this, how to make friends while traveling or living abroad. If you're thinking of, you need to move abroad for some reason or you are moving abroad, and you're, kind of worried about how are you going to, meet any friends or get to know anyone, this is a great blog for you to read and to consider. Or if you're just thinking of traveling by yourself, this hopefully can give you some ideas of how to meet some fun friends along the way. This is Anita from the Dusty Roads podcast. We're all about living our life as a global citizen, and we hope that you will join with us and subscribe, that you will become part of our community. We truly do appreciate you, all of our listeners, all of our watchers, all the people that are out there. We want you to know that we appreciate you and we hope that you are enjoying this too. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.